Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Yanks of the Cop. We are here for the pre-match reactions for the Thursday night huge showdown, Liverpool versus Tottenham. I'm your host, Steve, as always, joined by my brother Scans and our main man, Mahomie. And today we have a super special guest. He is from Rivalry Aside TV. His name is Luke. Luke, thanks so much for joining us, man. How are you?
Yeah, no problem, guys. Thanks a lot for having me on. Appreciate it.
Nah, we appreciate you coming on, coming behind enemy lines here. Obviously, you can see that you're a massive Spurs supporter, so we're definitely glad to have you. And I think for both teams, both clubs, this is going to be an absolutely massive game. So I expect the best from both teams. But honestly, let's get right down into it. If everyone tuning in, we really appreciate you guys. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't yet, so we can get more people viewing the show. But Luke, I want to kick things off, with you. I mean, since the last time between Liverpool and Spurs played, I think Spurs have only won one out of the last 4 games. I mean, what's going on with their recent run of form?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? You know, we got through a difficult patch when we played you guys. You know, we had to play City, Arsenal, Chelsea. Before that, we played United. Hadn't lost to any of them. Obviously, lost to you guys with the 90th minute winner. It's been a difficult period, but we're still there or thereabouts. You know what I mean? We're sitting 6th. We've got the second lowest goals conceded in the Premier League. So I'm not too concerned as a Spurs fan right now.
Oh, okay. Do you still consider yourself as title contenders? Because I know, like, at the end of the season, all the Spurs fans are saying, like, you're going to win the league because of Jose. He's got that winner's mentality. It's the best Spurs side ever. Like Liverpool, it might be the case that you're maybe not in the title race anymore like Liverpool.
Yes, that's a difficult one. I think you're listening to the wrong Spurs fans. Proper Spurs fans never consider themselves title contenders, to be very honest.
So what?
Yeah,
so
I guess. Yeah, sorry. I guess what are your expectations for the rest of the season then? I think you're in the final of the Carabao Cup, if I'm not mistaken. Would you expect, hopefully, to get a trophy there? Obviously, you guys are likely aiming for the title, obviously, for one, but obviously top 4 as well. What are your expectations as a Spurs fan, and what do you think Jose's expectations are?
Yeah, I think for all Spurs fans, obviously, having Jose, the number one thing is to win some form of silverware. So we've got a great shot in the Carabao Cup, into the next round of the FA Cup. We're still in the Europa League. So you'd be looking like top 4 and some form of trophy. That's like kind of minimum expectations in my opinion.
Luke, what do you think about Charles's comments here? He constantly comes into our chat and says that Spurs are winning the quadruple this season. I mean, would you agree with that?
No, not one bit. No, that's not something that I think is realistic. I had a few guys on my channel the other day, and we discussed kind of what we should be doing, and at least one kind of trophy would be, something we should be 100% aiming at. And it's about getting back in that Champions League. Having a season out in the Europa League is not what Spurs fans want. It's been a long time since we haven't qualified for the Champions League. So that's a minimum expectation, along with some form of silverware.
Right. Look, just curious about the January transfer window, because I saw that Spurs were linked to Eriksen. Is there any truth in that he can come back to Spurs?
No way. January? He can't come back.
Look, I think there's truth in the fact that they inquired about it and he inquired about coming back, but I think it's more of him wanting to come back as opposed to us wanting him back. Inter want us to pay 100% of his wages. He's on £300,000 a week. That would make him the highest paid player at Tottenham. So it's just not feasible, in my opinion, that he would come back. At that point, when he left, he really wanted to leave. He pushed for a move away.
Yeah.
And now he's not getting what he wants. He wants to come crawling back. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, in my opinion.
Oh, and what about Dele Alli? Is he staying? Or because, like, a few years back, Olis Dele Alli is the hottest prospect. Like, everyone was talking about how he'd scored more goals than Gerrard or Lampard at that age. And then all of a sudden, like, he kind of, like, I don't know what's going on with him. Like, he's lost form or confidence and he's not getting the team much. Like, is he in Jose's plans going forward? And do like Spurs still see him as a key player? Or is he just going to be sold in the summer?
Yeah, if you if you talk to any Spurs fan, they're going to want Dele Alli to stay. The biggest problem with Dele Alli right now, which if you've seen the documentary that come out, earlier on the year, it showed him in not a great light under Mourinho. He doesn't like his work rate, I think that he feels he should be like a number one name in the team sheet.
Yeah.
As opposed to Jose wants him to work for that spot. And so it doesn't matter who you are as long as you're working hard. Look at Tanguy Ndombele. He wasn't on the team sheet, and now he's working hard and, reaping the rewards for it. So I think it's the same with Dele Alli. It looks likely he'll go on loan to PSG. In my opinion, it would be a crazy move to sell him. I think he's still got at least 2 years left on his contract. So I think a loan move for 6 months with Pochettino, who was like a father figure to him, would work out that way. I think he needs that kind of mother love, that kind of arm over his shoulder. And Jose's just not the guy for that. So,
well, yeah, you've always seen Jose kind of butt heads with, I don't, maybe a prima donna might be the best word, but Paul Pogba at Man United had the same issues. I mean, as a Spurs fan, are you kind of glad to maybe push Dele Alli along for a loan to PSG?
Yeah, maybe. I think it's a bit harsh on him that he hasn't got more game time under Mourinho. Even in kind of cup games, he played in the Europa League game once and was, kind of taken off at half time. And he's played against Marine in the FA Cup. These aren't games that he wants to play in. But I think, again, if we want to win something, we've tried the Pochettino way. He did great things for us and was probably my favorite manager of all time, from my era. And it still didn't work in terms of winning something. So if we want that and the club wants that, then we are going to have to go in some form of direction that will work under Mourinho, even if it's a short-term plan to do that.
Yeah.
Well, just a quick question, last one on Bale.
Yeah.
Did Spurs see him as a success? Because I feel like Bale, I haven't seen that much of the Premiership, and I always felt like it was a risk Spurs coming back and taking him back because he was injured lots for the final 2 seasons at Madrid. And do Spurs see him as a success, or do they see him as part of the long-term future, or are they going to get rid of him, send him back to Madrid in the summer?
So obviously he's there on a loan until the end of the season. We're paying 40% of his wages, which is still around £200,000 a week. There is an option I've heard to extend that for a further year. At that point, he would become a free agent. I think that was the whole idea behind it. But realistically, he's not the same Bale that left us, which obviously everybody knew would happen. But I think as well, so when obviously he played for us, he played out wide on the left. Before that, he played left back. Now he's being played a lot wide right. In my opinion, for his age, it's probably better for him to play behind the striker and give him more of a roaming role as opposed to trying to beat players with his pace, which he hasn't got anymore. So, look, as a Spurs fan, I still love to have him there. I'm not going to call for him to go, but at the end of the season, if nothing really happens, then it might be easier just to kind of send him back and then readdress it when his contract runs out, unless somebody else comes in for him.
Do you trust him in a big game? Sorry.
Do I trust Bale in a big game?
Yeah, to play against us tomorrow night, or to actually play a consistent role for the rest of the season against big teams?
I don't think that he's warranted a position in that team to start against Liverpool, for example. If you were going to play him in the Premier League, it'd have to be against a lower side opposition or as an impact substitute. But there are other players that maybe you could say deserve it more. I would play on that right side if you're going to play. So usually we play Steven Bergwijn on that side due to his defensive ability as well. But if we were going to play somebody else on that right side, I would probably prefer Lucas Moura over Bale just for his pace and skill on the ball. Yeah, just right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Alex had a good point here, going back to kind of Dele Alli. I mean, it seems like you may have a hard decision. You either sell him now and he goes on to be a star potentially somewhere, or you keep him and loan. He comes back in a year and then, might lose a little bit of money on that because he only has one year left on his contract. I mean, do you think about it from a fan perspective? Do you think about it from that at all? Or you just think listen, he's a talented guy that we should have around the team?
I think since I've been doing shows like this, I think about it a lot more from a kind of financial perspective. Yeah, we talk about these questions a lot, but I think for the sake of it, in terms of selling him, look, we paid pennies for Dele Alli, so for whatever price we sell him for, the club will make a financial gain from it. But I think a loan move for 6 months would be beneficial and then readdress it. Yes, he'll have 1 year left on his contract, but it's either that or get rid of him right now. And as he's not playing regular first-team football, how much is he actually going to be generating in terms of sales fee? So it is a really interesting point, that, and something I think they are probably looking at. But if he's not playing, he's still going down in value. So rather he played somewhere else and got some minutes, I suppose.
Yeah, going to the game on Thursday.
Yeah,
being that we're at Tottenham Stadium, how do you think you guys are going to line up? I mean, clearly we've been struggling against a low block. Do you think that Mourinho will incorporate that as well, even playing at home, or will he try to utilize Kane and Son a little more? Obviously, they're informed that they've been playing well, and our defense is somewhat of a makeshift defense. That's no secret.
Yeah, I think he's going to... I don't know this, but I would say if I was going to go pick a team right now, I would go for a similar team that we played against Sheffield United. So 3 centre-backs, 2 wing-backs, 2 kind of holding midfielders, and then your 3 up top. I think it will be very, very similar to how we played at Anfield. I don't see him changing it in terms of sitting back and trying to hit them on the counter-attack. It's the best way that Spurs seem to play. Harry Kane drops in, Son makes the runs in behind and try and hurt you that way. It's a dangerous game. Yes, Liverpool are not in amazing form right now, but, I can't. I've watched a lot of these shows, and we've got one coming up on Thursday, and I can't see why Liverpool fans should be concerned over this in terms of getting beaten, heavily. I think it will be a close game. If you watch any kind of games between Liverpool and Spurs over the last few years, it's always been close, and I don't see it being any different. And especially as a Spurs fan, any big game like this, we're nervous for. It's just the way it is.
Well, I think it's interesting, though, because I think Mourinho's just typical style of play, I think, is perfect to go up against a team like Liverpool right now, because you're going to sit back, you're going to defend first, which we've proven the last month that we can't break down. And then when I think of teams that counterattack, I would put Tottenham right up there, if not at the top of the Premier League when it comes to counterattacking football. I mean, you have Kane and Son, especially on the left side, going against Trent and insert center back, because we don't even know who it's going to be yet. Yeah. I just think this spells trouble for us. And even the game at Anfield, we completely dominated that first half, and all it took was one decent Son chance, give him space one time, and he got a goal. So when I think about it that way, if I'm Mourinho, I wouldn't change it any other way. Like that's your success. That's what you guys are good at. One thing I wanted to ask you about is, we talked about Dele Alli and how he's not really in Mourinho's favor, but a guy like Ndombele, he started off when Mourinho first came over, not really getting the looks, but now we're kind of seeing it come to fruition. I thought he has been absolutely fantastic as of late. What are your thoughts on him and his form recently, but on also the impact that he could have on this game? Yeah,
do you know what? It's a funny one actually, Ndombele, because when we signed Ndombele, I got a Spurs shirt with his name on the back, right? Just, as you do. And then he falls out of favor. He never gets played. And I'm thinking, I've got this shirt now, and he's never going to play again. But no, he's been fantastic recently. The only way I can kind of describe him is we used to have Moussa Dembele in midfield, and he's the only kind of player that I can say resembles him in terms of holding the ball up in midfield, but having strong physique, but being able to twist and turn and just kind of sidestep an opponent and spread that play out. He's now adding goals, to his Spurs, his time at Spurs. And, that's just only adding to his ability. I absolutely love him.
You have to think those illegal training sessions during the COVID lockdown definitely helped him with Mourinho in the park.
That's it. Those one-on-ones, yeah.
Luke, do you think with no fans, that Josie's getting away with being able to play the style of football he's playing, and that the fans will accept it if
Great question.
the fans.
Yeah,
Because obviously Tottenham are used to playing Pochettino style of football, where you were like one of the best footballing sides in the Premiership, and now you've gone to this like you call it like negative Josie style of football.
Yeah, it's easy for Liverpool fans who play great football to take offence to that style of play.
Not recently.
The real question is like who dictates what is the best or most attractive style of football. At the end of the day, the idea of football is to win games. That can be done in multiple ways. This new way of kind of playing this tiki-taka type of football never used to be the way and style of playing a football. So I think if fans were annoyed with it, they would be stupid, because at the end of the day, it's about the points on the table. Yes, we can say I'd love to win 5-0 every weekend, but unfortunately, life and football doesn't work that way. So I don't think he would get under pressure if he didn't win anything for a year and a half, maybe two seasons at Spurs, and he was still playing that way. Then of course, the fans would be 100% on his back. But I think it's a results-based game. Jose's been brought in as a short-term fix to win trophies. He never stays longer than about 3 years at a club, so I wouldn't expect him to stay much longer at Spurs. Is
it his second season, the normal season, when he falls off the cliff though?
Yeah, but I don't know. You've got to run it out, haven't you? As I said, the 15-16 season under Pochettino was the best style of football I've ever seen. I think we scored the most amount of goals in the Premier League. We had a great defensive record, but we won absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I mean, so what are the It seemed like Pochettino was a huge fan favorite. Obviously, he got you guys to the Champions League final and all of this. And like you said, Mourinho seems to have about 3, maybe 4 years at most of his clubs, and then he kind of overextends his welcome. So what was the kind of the sense of fans when Pochettino got sacked, Mourinho came in, and has that opinion of Mourinho when he first came in changed at all to like what it is now?
Yeah, definitely. I think when Pochettino got sacked, I would say 99% of the fan base, or the true fan base, would have been shocked by that. There was a reason, in my opinion, why Spurs did it. At that time, Arsenal were struggling with their manager, and from what I believe, I don't know any of this information, but what I believe, it's either we get Jose now, or potentially somebody else like Arsenal, who sack Unai Emery, sacked him shortly after, would then have the opportunity to take him. So it was kind of one of those moves. And right at the start, Spurs fans weren't happy about it. Having an ex-Chelsea manager as your, head coach, manager of your team, a London rival, it would be like taking, David Moyes at Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? Something like that, like an ex-Everton manager. But he's got that reputation. I think he's kind of brought himself around to fans since I don't know how much you follow him, but since he's come on Instagram and things like that, he is quite likable again. And so I think Spurs fans have definitely kind of brought round to the idea of having Mourinho at Tottenham.
In terms of this game on Thursday, how do you expect Spurs to line up? I mean, obviously we'll include Kane and Son, but what would be your starting 11?
So I would like them to go with similar lineup to probably close to identical lineup as they went against Sheffield United. So obviously Lloris in goal. I would prefer them to have 3 centre-backs. Jose Mourinho likes to play Ben Davis as a left-sided centre-back and then Reguilon as a left-sided wing-back. That way we'll be able to hopefully take the pressure off Salah, because when he's in good form, when you have Reguilon playing, he's a very forward-thinking player. Mm-hmm. So in the last game we played Ben Davis, which I said on our show and no one seemed to believe me that it was going to happen. And then, of course, Ben Davis played because he's a more defensive, style left back. So he would probably play him at centre-back. I would prefer Dyer and Alderweireld as the other 2 centre-backs, and then Aurier as the right-sided wing-back. And then you have Højbjerg and Ndombele in midfield, and then Bergwijn, Kane, and Son up front. That would be my preferred 11.
What happened to Lucas Moura? Like he was electric last season, and now all of a sudden he's not good at looking.
It's just another one, isn't it? It's a difficult one. I don't know why. I don't know. He comes in on Europa League games, FA Cup games, but it's very difficult for any player, right, to get put into a team and to suddenly give the performance of your life when you're not getting in, week out. It's got to be very difficult. So I don't know what's happened to Lucas Moura. Again, I quite like him as a player. Some Spurs fans don't, but look, you can't deny what he did in the Champions League semi-final.
It's great.
Yeah.
You have to think that Bergwijn has more upside than Lucas Moura at this point. I would think.
Yeah, so Jose likes him because he works hard in defensive positions as well. But in terms of his ability on goal, we saw in the last game at Anfield, he had a couple of good chances that he just didn't put away. And that's the thing that Spurs fans are slowly getting a little bit frustrated on, is that, great, he can help defensively, he can help spread the play, go out wide, but his job is to score goals. And if he's not, then why not play someone like Lucas Moura in that position? But you know with Jose Mourinho what you're going to get, and he'll either play like a standard 4-4-2, or he'll play kind of 3-4-3.
Yeah, just to pivot for a second, guys, I thought Alex had a pretty good question. I just wanted to ask the Liverpool boys. In the 18-19 season, we fell short of City after leading. If we had Jose as a manager, do you think he would have got us over the line with his experiences and title races? Ultimately, no. I mean, we only lost one game that season, and it wasn't good enough. Although I think a guy like Jose would be a good manager for Liverpool, just with how his style is and with our front three, just how lethal it is, I think it would be a really good combination for him. That management and our style of play had nothing to do with us losing that. There was the clear off the line, the City thing, and just when you lose one game and don't win the title, you just got to tip your cap to City at that point for being a really good team. I don't think it would have changed anything having Mourinho as a coach. What do you guys think?
Nah, VAR cost us that title. That's the only thing. We had 7 decisions go against us that season that should have been goals. VAR cost us the title that season. We got robbed of it.
Well, we didn't have VAR. There was no VAR that season, was there?
No. If VAR was there, they said so.
Oh yeah.
If VAR was there, we would have had points because we had goals choked off that weren't offside.
Yeah, but financial fair play was around when Chelsea came back to power. Then they wouldn't have won all those titles. So revisionist history,
You only lost out on the title from an absolute thunderbolt from Company anyway, didn't you, really?
Yeah, that's really what it was. Yeah, I mean, and he would never score that again if he ever had.
Not in a million years.
Yeah, exactly. I remember watching that. It's funny because out of all the games I watched that season, that's the one thing I remember about the 18-19 season. Was that
Leicester, right?
Leicester.
Was against Leicester, right?
Yeah, it was against Leicester.
God. And that's when he naturally missed that sitter where he should have equalised. God.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, I still get upset about that. But getting back more important to this game, Luke. I mean, you kind of gave us your lineup right there. What are the key matchups that you're watching from a Spurs perspective, offensively and defensively? Like, from a Liverpool perspective, I know I can speak for those guys that we're really concerned about the Trent Alexander-Arnold side and that Son side. I mean, I'm sure you'd agree with us there, but then defensively, what concerns you with our front three and our midfield, all of that stuff?
I think everything concerns me with your front three. In terms of Firmino, in my opinion, he's probably obviously he scored the winner in the last game, so this is stupid for me to say, but he's probably the least of my concerns in terms of that. It's the thing that concerns me in terms of your attack is obviously the pace that you have with Mane and Salah, and we've never had a great left-sided defensive player. So Ben Davies is okay. Reguilon goes forward quite a lot. So those would be the kind of worries that I'd have, and that's why I'd play with 3 centre-backs to then be able to then cover when they go forward for them to be able to step across and hopefully try and affect that. But the game's won, in my opinion, in midfield. Yeah. You need to be able to kind of take control of Harry Kane, stop him from dropping in, turning and being able to play the ball out. And that's where, if you play the likes of a Fabinho or Jordan Henderson as a centre-back, they will be able to know that and follow him and hopefully then be able to affect it that way. That's how I could see it, because they have that mentality as a central midfielder already, and that would be the positioning. But then you'd have to hope that then somebody steps back and then covers that. So it's going to be an interesting matchup in midfield. So in my opinion, Liverpool, all they have to do is obviously play well and be able to stifle Harry Kane and stop that kind of dropping back and then being able to spread the ball out that way. So I think it's going to be a really interesting game. I don't think it's going to be as easy as people are making out, that Liverpool are in this terrible form and that Spurs should win. I think all that's nonsense. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to Liverpool do step up in big games, and we should be worried as Spurs fans, but also, have some quiet confidence as well.
Well, Andrew Mahomey, I mean, from a Liverpool's perspective, how would you guys line up tomorrow against the Spurs team, knowing what we know about Mourinho's style of play and what they have available?
Personally for me, I think Matip Henderson's the back for tomorrow, because Matip was rested for this game, and Henderson wasn't rested for this particular game. So I think they'll be back in. So we're not going to see Reece Williams or Phillips, thank God. So I would line up Alisson, Trent, Matip, Fabinho, Robertson, Hendo, Gini, Thiago, Salah, Mane, Firmino. I think that's a strong midfield there, strong base. And I'd also make sure that it's Henderson at the 6, not Thiago. And I'd push Thiago up as the furthest forward midfielder and have Henderson, Gini sat behind him, sitting, and have it that way. And then that should control the midfield for me. But I think in Spurs last time, we had Henderson, Wijnaldum, and Gini, Jones, and we allowed Kane so much time to turn, spin, and pass the ball to Song. And I think that wouldn't happen if it was Henderson, Thiago, Gini.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that every time that Thiago has played for us, he's played as the 6. So I think that we need, if Henderson is fit and ready to play, I think that'll throw a little confusion into Mourinho's plan. I think that Thiago as the 8, we could see him linking up with the front 3, and hopefully that would enable Salah, Firmino, more space, definitely Mane as well. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how Trent plays in this game. He's got a big matchup, and he hasn't really been playing well the past 5 to 6 games for pretty much all season, I guess. So, I mean, he's going up against Son. He needs to be wary of him, and he needs to perform on the attack. So I'd be looking forward to that right wing with Trent and Salah to really do well against Reguilon and Ben Davies if Luke is right in his lineup.
Yeah, I think we know what the front 3 is going to be. The biggest question, I think Matip has to start tomorrow. Absolutely has to start. I wouldn't be. I think Henderson and Thiago are for sure in the midfield, and I think like what Homie said, I think it should be Wijnaldum. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's Curtis Jones either. I think Curtis Jones could do the job. He's also been getting rested recently, so he's going to have fresh legs. So I wouldn't hate that. We've seen him. He's been kind of hit and miss against the low block. But I do think playing next to a guy like Thiago, I would really, really just want to see Henderson in the 6 with Thiago and Wijnaldum ahead of him. When Thiago was playing a little bit more advanced, that was when we saw the best of Gini Wijnaldum as well. He was being a lot more creative. So I think that would be the best for our midfield, especially with what we're missing right now and that creative midfield piece.
Yeah, Chris Welch said in his lineup, Alisson, Trent, Fabinho, Matip, Robertson, Hendo, Thiago, Wijnaldum. So basically saying that we said, Magical Mo said Alisson, Trent, Phillips, Matip, Robbo, Hendo, Fabinho in the mid. What's that?
Phillips renewing in this game.
Yeah, Phillips. I agree. I don't think Phillips can play this one. I think he's going with a 4-2-3-1 though with that lineup. But yeah, and Alex says that can't wait for Jota to come back into that center forward role. I mean, that's the big one for me. I mean, we need more movement in that front three, and that's kind of what we're lacking, and he definitely provides that. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully he comes back soon. I don't even think he's training yet, though, to be honest. Unfortunately.
Speaking of new signings, Luke, I had a question for you actually, because this summer when you guys signed Doherty, that seemed to be like a really positive move. Seemed to be people were enthusiastic about it, especially because of Aurier's season last season. But it's almost like all of a sudden now he's got competition. He's playing, like the player that people thought he could be, and Doherty hasn't really been getting any time. So like, what's your thoughts on that whole situation? Because it seems like I was not expecting Aurier to be playing as much as he is.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think they signed Doherty to try and give competition to Aurier. But again, it's kind of one of these crazy Jose Mourinho things. He sees Aurier as an attack-minded defender, which is why in previous games we played Sissoko in that midfield, as he is then allowed to cover, which is why I would then have Aurier playing as a wing-back. But with Doherty, it's a tricky one. He's played Europa League games, FA Cup games. Obviously, he got sent off recently. It's such a tricky one with him. At Wolves, he was an outstanding wing-back, but maybe it's just under a Jose Mourinho style of football. Maybe he just doesn't get it. Maybe he's just not the way that he plays, or maybe he's just never the player that people thought he was. He just shone in a Wolves team who a lot of players shone. It's a tricky one, but I've never been able to figure it out. But right now, Aurier's playing all right. The issue is always with him, defensive frailability, giving away free kicks at the edge of the area, giving away potential penalties. And that's where, with the speed of your kind of left and right-sided wingers, that's where I would be looking. The other thing I'd be looking from a Liverpool perspective is getting crosses into the box, because Spurs struggle with crosses into the box. We've conceded a small amount of goals from open play, but from kind of set pieces and crosses,
Right.
we concede a lot more. As you can see, you scored the winner from a corner in the last game. So that's where I'd be looking to kind of do some damage as well.
Yeah, what are you guys' thoughts? I mean, Alex in the chat said, and they're kind of talking about this, that Firmino has to go. What do you guys think about that?
I just think he needs competition. Like there's no true striker behind him, or false nine, whatever you want to call it, on our bench that you can even say like, yeah, I'm comfortable starting him long term over Firmino, especially with Jota out. Like, I don't think Firmino has to go, but I just think he needs to be challenged more. And I think that if we were able to give him a spell on the sidelines here and there with a quality guy to replace him, he'd be fine. Like, he definitely still has a place on our squad. Like, does he deserve to start every game? No. But like right now, what other options do we have? Jota's not playing. Jota's not available. Like, Minamino is somewhere lost in the basement. Origi doesn't run. So it's like, who do you want to replace him with? If you want to say he's been out of form this year, fine. Like, I'll be right there with you. He hasn't been himself. But like, I'm not ready to throw him away, knowing that what we've seen from him. And he's just been getting, like, he's played so many games for us, and like, he never gets a rest. I would love to see what he can do, having a capable deputy and being able to, get the rest that he needs.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's crazy to sell Firmino. And
Magical Mo, share your Twitter handle for Wahomey, and he'll unblock you. I don't know why he would block you in the first place. I mean, that's between you.
He does have FSG out in his title right now, so that might be why.
Warranted. But no, I would say in terms of Firmino, I think he still offers a lot on the pitch. I think long gone are the days that you're going to see Bobby Firmino start every game for Liverpool like we've seen for the past 3 to 4 years. I think that he could move to a 10. I definitely think he could do that. We saw what he could do against United in the FA Cup, given some time and space going forward. So, I mean, I just think I agree with Stevie. I think he just needs some rotation in there. We need a guy like Jota or Haaland, anybody up top, just a natural goal scorer. That's really what we're lacking. But I think Bobby could still manage and get some minutes as a 10. I mean, he's only 29, I think, right now, approaching 30. So he still has some legs in him.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to keep Bobby. I'd rather play him as a 10 now going forward, get a striker and play Bobby as a 10. Because I think you saw in the United game, he's not like, in terms of him scoring goals, he hasn't got that anymore in his locker. But in terms of creating the 2 chances against United, he's perfect as a 10. So I'd rather see him there playing now that rather than as being the main focal point.
Yeah.
Luke, what do you your other new signing, Højbjerg? He's been having a hell of a season. What's how has he really kind of transformed your team? Because it seems like people kind of laughed at that signing a little bit when he first came over, but he's been pretty instrumental, I feel like, for you guys.
Yeah, 100%. I think, we sold Southampton Kyle Walker-Peters, and then they sold us Højbjerg for, I think we paid in total after they paid us, cost us about £3 million. It was ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, that's the kind of difference in price. I think we sold Kyle Walker-Peters for like 15. So in total, obviously, cost us 18, but, the net spend is 3. He's just been unbelievable. I think one of the things that Jose wanted is players who are ready to fight for the club, fight for the game. And that's what he's brought in to this team. His just ability to fight and win the ball back. Yeah, he gives away fouls. He isn't always kind of the main man of the team. He can't score for his life, but he's just a solid player in front of that back four. And I think it just gives the back four kind of a bit more, kind of releases a bit of pressure off them, basically. And that's what we've needed. In terms of Liverpool, though, while you guys are talking about Firmino, I think you're right. I think in terms of that, he'd be much better right now, obviously, when Jota's fit, playing him kind of in front and playing with a front 4 as such, with Firmino playing just behind. But I think, here's a question for you guys. Do you think it's more of like a kind of nostalgia thing with Firmino, or do you genuinely think he's cut out to be the Liverpool main man?
Oh, it's definitely nostalgia. Definitely nostalgia. Like I said, I don't think you're going to see many more times, throughout the season where Bobby's going to start every single game once we get that replacement. He's played a lot of football over the past 4 years, and I think his legs are kind of gone a little bit. I think he needs more rotation. And if we get an all-out striker who's just goal hungry, like a Jota or like a Haaland, as I just mentioned, I think that he'll definitely be rotating, coming off the bench a lot. And that's fine. He's still very effective out there. I don't think he can go and play 90 minutes back to back to back. He just long gone are those days.
Yeah, 100%. I think if you guys ended up signing, kind of in the summer, in my opinion, you should be looking obviously another centre back, of which we've seen now is cover. But all you need is a centre back and a striker, and an out and out kind of top class striker, and genuinely will be unplayable, I think, as a side.
Yeah. Just J-Doc just has a quick question. We actually have another show tomorrow with Liverpool reporter James Pierce. It's going to be a big episode. Can you submit questions? Yeah, definitely just submit questions like you are into the chat right now. We're going to have a general itinerary that we're going to ask James, but some questions that we think are good, we'll definitely do what I'm doing right now and just bring them up, and James will be able to see those as well. So looking forward to that. But
yeah, I was just going to add on the Firmino part. I think as he's gone older, his ability. So when he first joined, he was really good at pressing the whole line and linking up play. And I think obviously when he lost Coutinho, he lost a lot of the person who was able to link up with him and help him create stuff. And as we've seen, he played a lot of games. As he's got older, he's losing that ability to pop up with big goals and actually influence games, because he's not linking up players as he was before. I think that was always going to come with a gradual decline, and I think now he'd just be best served as a 10 rather than as the leading man. But the problem, obviously, we've had his injuries. We've had injuries to key people like Jota, and we've not been able to play different positions. So I do feel that in the summer, whether it's Jota or we buy someone else, that Bobby won't be the striker next season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's definitely nostalgia, but I would just love to see us with Thiago. I would just love to see us go to a 4-2-3-1 at some point. I just really, really love to see that at some point. But
Yeah, it's just getting too predictable, but something has to change. Hopefully, we'll see that against Spurs.
Hopefully. What do you guys think? Anything else you guys want to cover? Should we get to predictions or?
Combined Liverpool Spurs team.
Oh yeah, we gotta do that. Let's get to our combined 11.
But based on form only. So we'll say based on form this season only,
On
not
form
who we
only.
think-
Yeah.
Yeah, not who we think is the best player, just based on form.
Current form
This season.
for this game.
Yeah, kind of form.
But current form is for this season, right?
Yeah,
Correct?
this season only.
Past 3 games.
The entire season. Okay.
This
All
season
right,
only.
All right. Okay, let's do it. So let's say what are we doing for a formation? A 4-3-3?
Gotta go 4-3-3. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So start with the goalkeeper. Allison.
Ooh, it's tough.
Yeah, I'd go Allison.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
I'd go Ori at right back.
Yep. I also say Ori is the right back for this season. If
Okay.
talking stuck in the season, it's gotta be Ori.
Yeah, fine, yeah.
Trent's been shocking this season. That's why he doesn't get in. He's been shocking.
Yeah.
Center
backs.
Center backs.
Has Alderweireld been
Opposite-
injured, or has he been playing?
He kind of gets taken in and out. I would have said the main centre back that plays most of our games would have been Eric Dyer, but that's a difficult one to. It's a difficult one, the centre backs, because I wouldn't trust either of our centre backs, but I wouldn't trust any of your midfielders at centre back. So, in my opinion, I'd put Fabinho in there.
Yeah. I think Fabinho's a staple, and I think it would be whoever you'd prefer between Dyer and Alderweireld, in my opinion.
Yeah, let's put Dyer in terms of actual form and game time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. And left back would be Robbo. I think
Robbo, yeah.
he's been one of our best players of the season so far.
Regulon's been good though.
Huh?
Regulon's been really good though.
Elon has been
He
good.
has been good, but
Great signing.
Robbo's the best left back in the league, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. All right.
Midfield?
So who plays the 6?
I'll take you guys.
I might
I think Højbjerg.
give it to Højbjerg.
Yeah, I give
Højbjerg got
Højbjerg.
the whole season.
He's been really good this year.
Yeah.
And Henderson's been in and out, and I don't want Thiago to be a 6, so
Yeah, I think it'd be Højbjerg. I think that's more than fair. I think if Henderson played more games, maybe Henderson, but I just think the impact that Højbjerg's had for Tottenham has been pretty massive.
Yep.
I think you got to go him.
The other centre midfielder, who you're playing on the left. Yeah.
options. Ndombele, Sissoko, Harry Winks.
I would if we're going to go out of any of those 3 players, I would have to say Ndombele.
Ndombele over Gini. Who you picking?
I'm taking Genie.
That's tight. I think I feel like Genie saved us like so much. But I mean, if you look at recent form, I mean, Ndombele has been hot.
Are we giving
Genie? Genie.
I'll give him Ndombele. I think
So now we got two of each. So someone's got to make a decision.
I think the last one could be Thiago. Although that's
All right, I'll give you Ndombele over Genie, but I want Thiago in there.
Okay.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. So then, all right, here we go. So then, front 3. I think I would say I think my front 3 would be Son, Kane, Salah.
That would be mine as well. Yeah.
That's mine. Yeah. Salah is the goal scorer in the league, so you got to give it to him.
Yeah, I don't think Mane's been good enough this year to get in.
Same.
And Binu hasn't either. So that's we've got a team.
That's
Chris
our
Wells,
team, yeah.
Allison, Aurier, Fabinho, Dyer, Robertson, Højbjerg, and Ndombele. So it's basically our team as well.
Basically,
So,
our
yeah.
team, we have.
Yeah, you guys went for Thiago. I think that was more of a kind of love for Thiago than form.
Yeah, it was because Thiago's like he's not played the whole season, so it's hard to say the whole season.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then he's come back. We haven't won a game, so it's like shit.
We'll do it. All right, we get to predictions.
That was fun. That was a lot. That was a lot less contentious than it was with Tom from Man United. So that was good.
The thing is, I'm realistic in terms of what is actually a true statement and just someone being by far more biased.
Right. No, we appreciate that. We appreciate that. But wait. Who's the manager?
Ooh.
I don't know. Current form?
Yeah.
You guys have a game in hand.
What are we saying? Let's have a look.
Then come from your.
So we've got 33 goals, conceded 17. You've got 37 goals, conceded 22. So it's tough. We've got the same wins. You've drawn one more game than us, and we've lost the same. So it's tricky.
Yeah, we have a game in hand.
Yeah.
Shit.
I'll go by most recent titles. We got one last year. Jose hasn't got one in a little while.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
All right.
Chris Welch is mad at us. He said Thiago came back in January. Can't put him in there.
He's got a good point. Like,
he probably should be in there.
Pretty much the same. Just put Wijnaldum in over Thiago. Like, I'm not going to argue that. It's a good point.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. Take Thiago out, put Wijnaldum there.
All right. That was fun. That's good. I love the combined 11s. All right. Let's get to our official scoreline predictions for the match. Andrew, start with you and go counterclockwise around.
I'm going 2-1. Standard score. I think we go up one. Jose has to come out. Maybe they tie it up, and maybe we get one late again. Repeat.
I think tomorrow depends a lot on Masip and Hendo. They both have to play. I think if one of them's missing, then I think it's going to be probably a draw, or maybe even a Spurs win. If one of them's missing, especially Masip's missing, we're finished. We have to play Phillips Williams, but if they're both playing, then I'm thinking 2-1 as well. Liverpool if they're both playing.
Okay, so I'll just follow on from what I predicted earlier in our kind of game week show that we do. So I predicted 2-1 Spurs. So I'm going to go again. 2-1 Spurs.
That's their scoreline. Steven, bring it home.
Well, after the Man United prediction, and what I said was I'm not taking Liverpool to win until they show me something. So I'm going to say it's going to be a 1-1 draw. Just
probably realistic.
I know how they play. I know how Tottenham plays. They're going to sit back. We're going to have a hard time breaking it down. But Tottenham's going to find one. I have no question about Tottenham finding a goal. I think we will find a way to squeak 1 and 2. So it's 1-1. And our road form sucks.
Final question for this game: who's your one to watch?
For me,
player to watch.
One to watch, in the game. One to watch in the game.
For Spurs or just anybody?
Anybody.
Spurs. Let's pick one for Spurs, and we'll pick one for Liverpool.
One for Spurs. I don't want to go for the obvious option, so I'll just go with the man who scored a couple of goals of the day. So I'll just go Ndombele.
Okay.
I'm going to go Ben Davies if he starts at left back or the left center back. I think if he plays well against Salah, I think we're going to have a tough time.
I'm going to go for this one. I'm feeling Trent's going to come alive this one, so I'm going to go for Trent.
Trent. Wow.
One for Spurs and one for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me get my Spurs started. I'm going to go the obvious one. I'm going to go Son. I think Son versus Trent. That's the key matchup. So,
and then for Spurs, I think Højbjerg is going to be a big one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Liverpool. Yeah, I'll agree with you on Trent. I like Trent. I think he's a good guy. He's a young kid, and he's got a lot of promise. So I'll go with him as the one to watch for Liverpool.
Yeah, Trent for me too.
I'm going to say Mane because when you think about his matchup against Aurier, he loves to dive in on tackles. So I think if Mane can be dangerous, create some uncertainty in Aurier's head, I think that would be huge. And I think if we open up one of Salah or Mane need to have a day. And I just think Salah is due. I mean, I just think Mane is due. And that matchup could be pretty solid for him with, if he can just be quick, be the guy that we know he can be, he's going to be a handful on that side. So I'm going to say Sadio.
Do you not feel that? Oh, you pocketed him last time.
What's that?
I remember it being a good matchup. I remember it being a good matchup.
Yeah, it was a really good matchup last time. And I was actually really disappointed in that. I thought Salah Mane was going to play a little bit better.
He did do a lot better against the centre back though, when the balls were getting played into his feet and his ability to be able to turn. I think the problem in the last game was just the finishing. You could have been 4-0 up at half time or 4-1 up at half time, to be honest. So
yep, that's the Liverpool story really this season. can't finish for shit. So hopefully that changes. Hopefully we'll have 3 points for the Reds. Sorry they're loose, but this was a bunch of fun. And if we ever play again this season, we'll definitely have to have you back on.
Yeah, for sure. I'd really like that.
It'll be great. But everyone who's tuning in, we really appreciate you guys. The chat, again, was on fire. We really appreciate it. And if you haven't yet, go check out Rivalry Aside TV. Those guys are awesome. They're doing some great work over there. If you like this podcast, you're going to love their show too. So go ahead, tune in. And if you've been listening to the show for this long and you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Go hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate you guys. But we'll be back tomorrow with our James Pierce special. Make sure you're here at 5 o'clock. Get your questions into the chat. If we like them, we'll ask James right away. But otherwise, up the Reds, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you guys.
Reds.